guys, welcome back to a new video on the channel today. We're back with a new series on the channel. It's going to be a weekly series in partnership with Actual Vision. Follow him on Twitch. I'm going to leave a link to his channel on my description for this video, and also a link for his community events, which this video is based on. So we're partnering up with Actual Vision to give his community a little bit of guidance in terms of lap, how to do the lap and how to get the best times available, and also to give a little bit of help with setups, just to make the car a little bit more drivable. So what my job is basically is to lay a lap down, get the car drivable, put a setup out, and then let you guys try it out, make some alterations and see how fast you can get the lap done. So what we want people to do is we're going to try and get my community involved with Actual Visions, and make sure you join his community, get involved with his time trials, and check out these videos weekly, as it's going to be a different car and track combination pretty much every week. So make sure you come to these videos, check the setups out, and then see what times you can put down. So we're going to run through a very quick lap now. We're going to let the lap run through without any commentary, so you guys can actually watch the lap I did with no commentary to start with, and then we're going to go through a guide. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to run through a very quick slow motion of that lap and go through some guides. So going into turn 1, I'm going to go down into 4th gear, try and hit some of the apex on that curb. We did it a little bit too aggressive, maybe lost a temp or so, but what it did that enabled us to do is keep on the track in a good line. So going into 5th gear, stay to the left hand side of the track for this corner now, staying as far wide as you can, going into this right hand corner, going into 6th gear as we hit the apex of that corner, then down into 5th gear as we chuck it into this left hand. And what you want to do is make sure you've got throttle input at all times through this corner pretty much. If you lift off, the back end is going to slide and you're going to cause a massive oversteer moment. Down into 3rd gear, make sure you're braking early enough for this corner, hitting the apex nicely there, getting on the power as early as you physically can. We were a little bit late on the power there, maybe losing a tenth or two with momentum all the way up the hill now, but we did it okay, reasonably okay. Keeping flat out now through this right hander. Do not lift through this right hander. If you lift through here, you're going to lose a lot of time going up this hill now. So make sure you keep your foot planted to the floor all the way up the hill now as we approach this slight left hander now. You want to be careful not to put too much steering input. You can see on the steering wheel now my input is very minimal to stop that rear end slide, and if the rear end slides you're going to lose speed with the scrubbing, so make sure you keep it nice and smooth. Going into this left hander now in 6th gear, we're going to downshift into 4th gear and keep the car as tight into this right hander as possible. A little bit lift off the throttle and then hard back on the throttle. Sooner you get back on the power there, the more momentum you're going to carry out the corner, and also it's going to help you slide. You're going to kind of drift the car through that corner and keep a lot of speed. That's how I do that corner. It really does work and keeps momentum going. So going down into the final corner now, past the marker on the left there to turn in marker, and you're going to use that black board on the right just there, going down into 4th gear as your braking point, then 3rd gear, and then try and hit this apex nicely. We actually slightly braked a little bit too late and lost the apex slightly. Had to be a bit patient on the throttle, as you can see there, used a bit of the curve on the left, maybe lost another tenth or two, and then we go over the line, making sure you stay to the left hand side on this part of the track. Do not let the car wander off to the right. You're going to lose valuable time, and that will give you the best time possible staying over to the left. So we go over the line for a 1 minute 4.7, I think that is. It's a nice lap, it's beatable. Hopefully one of you guys can try and beat it from either my community or Actual Visions. It's going to be a weekly event, so make sure you guys take part in these events, and we'll run through a very quick little description of the setup we used and some of the changes that you might want to do with the setup. Okay, so taking a look at the setup now. With regards to the tyre pressure, I think you may want to go slightly lower on them tyre pressures. Maybe go down a few clicks on the front and rear. It might get a little bit more heat into the tyres for this hot lap, as you know we're only running one lap, so you can go a little bit more aggressive in terms of the tyre pressures lower to get a bit more heat in them. If you go higher, it might also work. I'm not too sure how it's going to work. It's obviously tyre pressures are important, but the heat, you also want the heat in the tyres. Brake balance, very important. I found to go quite high up to 67 on the front. It just stabilises the rear. Also with regards to brake pressure, I'd probably go down to 90 to 85. I had it on 95%, but I think maybe 90% might just stop that when you really aggressively hit that brake pedal, that little locking up of the ABS. So just try that out and see how you feel with it. Ride height, I found it very important to raise the front up higher than the rear, because obviously this car you can't change the downforce on. So I found putting the rear up to 77 and the front up to 77 and the rear on 75, it just helped create a slightly different rake to the car, which helped traction on the rear end, especially coming through some of the fast corners where the rear wanted to step out. It just stabilised the rear slightly. Toe-in angle, as you can see there, we lowered the rear down to 0.3. You may want to go higher on that again to create more stability. Just be aware it could slow you down on top speed. Bump stops, I think I personally went too high here. I had it on 19 and 20. You may want to alter that down to maybe 14 and 15. Obviously 14 front, 15 rear, maybe even 9, 10. Just try these things out and see if it creates a bit more stability. It should do in theory. Whether it does is another thing, but it's worth trying out. With regards to the bumps, the slow bumps, we went pretty similar to what we did in the original project cars, just not too aggressive. We're not going too aggressive with these setups yet, as we're not 100% sure how things are working compared to the original project cars. Radiator opening, I went down to 10% on my lap, but I get the feeling you probably will be able to run that at 0%, and it might gain you a little bit more time over the lap I did there. Not 100% sure, it shouldn't blow your engine. I don't think it will. It never used to on the original project cars if you did it on time trial. So my guess is it won't do for this. But obviously if you're running a long race, you're going to want to up that slightly. Engine braking, we did up that also to create more stability when lifting off the throttle. You don't want that rear end sliding out into fast corners, so I raised that up slightly. Final drive, we put that to its highest setting, which in turn actually lowers your gears, so you're going to get to use 6th gear and all the torque of the engine through all the gears. Before we were only really using 5 gears with the default gearing, so that's something you might want to change also. Traction control, we altered that slightly. Just bear that in mind. You may want to. That's down to personal preference, really, with regards to how you do the differential. Also, so bear in mind if you're going to have an open differential where you're going to let the wheel spin more freely, you're going to maybe have to control the traction control a little bit more. It's all down to personal preference. ABS. 77%. We up that slightly just to stop the brakes locking up quite so often. The bias, the new setting here, which is the bias on the coast, on the ratio there, we actually found that going higher on that seemed to settle the rear end down a bit. I need to experiment more with them settings. I didn't really go too far into them, but I just found that doing that on the rear, because of what it said on the right hand side, tended to stabilise the rear slightly. Preload, I lowered that down to 40 just to stop it kicking in on some of the corners. I wanted to let the power go through the corners a little bit more, so I could carry a lot more speed through some of them fast corners. You may want to experiment with the clutches. What that will do is increase the effects of the differential. So the more clutches you have, the more effect of the differential you have. The lower, you'll basically have less. So if you have 4 clutches, it's basically going to give you more effect of the differential. Viscous lock, I'd never really bother with that on the original project cars, and I've not gone into it on this. Maybe in the future we'll look into what changes that does make and how we should go about incorporating that into our setups. Anyway, that's a quick run through of the setup I ran and a few little basic guidelines to what might help you out. I hope it's helped you out. I hope the little guide has helped you out, and hopefully one of you guys can put a very good lap maybe into 103, late 103s or early 104s. and really push this time trial to the limit. Hope you like this video, and make sure you check out my other videos. I'm going to try and get back into uploading at least 2 or 3 videos a week. Like I say, it is hard. I will be starting off a Twitch channel soon as well also, and hopefully we'll be getting that going very soon. We've got some things sorted now. I was waiting on a second screen. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I'll be back with more of these weekly time trials very soon, and make sure you check out all the links for Actual Vision's channels in the description. Thanks again guys.